Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Sons and Daughters of Liberty. Hope has enjoyed their week thus far. Been a long one for me. I'm tired. At least today's my Friday. I mean, those 5 days off last week was nice, but I paid for it this week. Though I'm still looking forward to our week shutdown for Christmas through New Year's. Yeah, I'm still half asleep, I think. But I'm glad this week's over. At least tonight you guys get to enjoy some Christmas lights. I know Brian, they've got the courthouse all the way decked out. It's nice to see a lot of people got their lights up, celebrate, getting that Christmas spirit. It's actually been a nice day. The last couple of days have been nice. She's messed up considering Monday when I went into work. And by the time I got into Fort Wayne, it was like, is that snow? By the time I got into Ohio, it was like certain. The rest of that drive was almost in whiteout conditions. It's like, really? I thought it was supposed to warm up this week. Like, damn, they definitely got the forecast wrong. We weren't supposed to get snow. Safe to say, I was not ready for that. This is kind of how unpredictable our weather has been. We went from basically getting down to 22 degrees at night in the mornings to, I don't know what it topped off today. It's 50 out right now. Our weather is about as unpredictable as our so-called politicians and so-called scientists. When I was getting ready for work, I caught an article on my phone talking about an asteroid that's supposed to pass in close proximity of the Earth on the 11th. One of the things about they say about the size of the Eiffel Tower. But the way they made it sound is like it's going to be real close. It's in that, danger zone, the way they're putting it. Oh yeah, you're waiting for the punchline, right? Yeah, like 2.8 million miles away. I'm like, really? That's like 10 times the distance between here and the moon. And you consider that the danger zone? I'm like, wow. But you had to actually read the article. I don't know, get about to the middle of it before they actually gave you how far away it is. It was like, really? So I guess this week they've got to. They haven't completely. CDC hasn't completely confirmed it yet, but they're saying that our first case of the Omicron virus been reported in California. Well, it took about a week. I was about right on my estimates. Then of course, we've had the little speeches here and there by our dementia patient 101. Everybody's going to need to get their vaccines. Basically threatening people. If you don't get if everybody don't get vaccinated, hinting at the lockdown. Like, yeah, good luck with that this time around. I mean, there'll be some states that'll do it. Me personally, I'm sick of the BS, the lies, the manipulation. And it's not even really manipulation. It's just flat out threatening people through fear. That's no more than bullying. In dementia patient 101's case, that's nothing more than being a dictator in power. And, you got one company saying, well, you're going to need to get a double dose of the booster. it's like, enough is enough with this crap. And I enjoy it because more statistics are starting to get out there, and they're starting to get caught up in their little lies and fear propaganda. And quite frankly, people are getting tired of being told, oh, here, get this one, you won't need another. It goes back to that saying, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. There won't be a third time. It wasn't even a first time. But then again, I caught it, already had it before they were even talking about Corona. The whole time they knew about it, which we later found out. And I ain't gonna lie. That was the sickest I've ever been. I mean, ever. I mean, that literally put me down. It put a bunch of us down at work. But I do find it interesting, all of us that had it back before anybody knew what it was, we've been fine. No, we've had a bunch of people at our factory catch it. Well, either the Delta variant or the very first one. We've worked beside them and find out, oh shit, really? Just like I said, my sister had it. She was fully vaccinated. Which is the funny part. Most people that I know that's caught it recently, when I say recently, I mean like the past 6 months, are those that never had it, had it before, or were vaccinated. They can take their crap statistics and crap fact checkers and shove it where the sun don't shine. Now, as they say, proof's in the pudding, right? My proof is what I've seen, witnessed, and experienced. No fact checker can change that. No scientist can tell me any different. And I've had a doctor tell me. Because I actually went for a rapid COVID test. As I've told you guys. When after my sister had it, it was like a week. I wasn't even back a week from work. I ended up having an upper respiratory infection. But, by what they say, the symptoms, it was the symptoms, and it's like, but even the doctor said the test is only 84% accurate that they do. Because, he was trying to push the vaccine and stuff, and I wasn't having it, and I'm like, then when I told him I already had it, he's like, you did? Well, we don't got no records of that. I'm like, yeah, it's before anybody even knew what it was. He's like, well, I don't believe that. He goes, it didn't come. I'm like, you just don't get who you're talking to, do you? And I pulled, because I had my phone on me, I pulled pulled it up where they said, well, yeah, we knew about it since the first cases in China in early 2019, and we knew about it from January and February. Like I thought, I ain't one of those idiots that come in here thinking that everything you're going to tell me is fact. I'm sorry. I grew up in the 80s and 90s. We were well taught about getting second opinions. Because, my last real medical record was like 1998. No, it would have been early 2000s when I fractured my ankle. Like I said, I'm very self. I get sick about every 2 years. And I don't go to a doctor unless I absolutely have to. And I mean absolutely have to. I'm not a fan of really any type of pills or medicine unless I absolutely have to take it. And when it even comes to that, I prefer, let me get some amoxicillin for, infections and stuff. You know, I've witnessed firsthand how addictive and destructive the oxycontins were, the opioids were. But back in the early 2000s, they was handing that crap out like candy. Getting people intentionally addicted on something they knew was highly addictive. And yet everybody expects us to trust big pharma. I don't trust no one with my health and body. And I always, even, I will always get a second opinion to make sure, just in case you're diagnosed with something. And it's good. It's also good to do your research on your medications. I mean, I'm sorry. This is 2021. and this is my personal opinion, but as advanced as technology has become, and as advanced as our science has become, as so they say, there shouldn't be no side effects to any medication. None. Me personally, they shouldn't be prescribing anything that has a side effect. In the worst case, most of these things have multiple side effects. But that gets me to going back to the placebo conversation, which is scientifically documented. The placebo has a higher success rate than the actual medicine or drug they're trying to transcribe. You know why that is? Because that's how powerful your mind is. You think you're taking what's being prescribed, so therefore you trick your mind into thinking that it's taking the real thing. And your own body heals you. Because you believe what you were told, that you're taking the real thing. That was the last podcast I did. I'm pretty sure I discussed my opinions on the what happens when you do get vaccinated, or what happens when you take the flu shot. You're introducing yourself. At least in the flu case, you're introducing yourself the flu. That's how supposedly how they try to get your immune system to make antibodies for it. So they're actually injecting you with, it's not the live variant of the flu, but it's still the flu. But as you know, as we all found out, it was pointless because all you were getting was the previous year's flu shot, not the current flu that's coming, the new variant. If we haven't learned anything from them pushing flu vaccines, and I mean, that should have been our lesson right when they started talking about vaccines for COVID after the first round. This is what it's become. They're treating the COVID like it's, your everyday flu that you got to get vaccinated for every year for. Except for every year now, it's like every 3 months in some cases. It's ridiculous. And we don't even know what's the real impact of these vaccines will be. Only time will tell, because they've never went through a true clinical trial. I mean, it took years to get a polio vaccine and a smallpox vaccine. And I mean years. I think for smallpox it was like 8 years before they came up with something. It was like 3 or 4 for polio. But within a matter of weeks, we had it. Well, it wasn't. It was. I think it was a couple months, about 3 months before they actually rolled out the first vaccine for COVID. I'm like, really? No, it hasn't. But there's that loophole. Now, oh, we're going to declare states of emergency, federal emergency, so we can push it right out and not have to spend years with clinical trials. Then there, you got the loopholes as well. It's a vaccine, so we don't need to test it like we test everything, like prescription medication pills and stuff. And they're not liable. Can't go back after the pharmaceutical companies for the. Which in itself is the biggest BS. I think the part that bothers me, though, the most is what we're seeing happening in Germany, Austria, Australia, especially with the current administration in place. That's why it's kind of important to stay on top of these things that are happening elsewhere. Because, like I said, the first round of lockdowns, mandates, that was just to see how far they could get people to go. It was pretty much a little beta trial run. Which should scare us because everybody pretty much so complied. I mean, they did. I mean, the one place that I never thought would ever see shut their doors and tell their congregations you can't congregate and worship God in your churches and your temples. To me, that was the ultimate slap in the face, and I've discussed this. That's when they truly broke everybody. That's when they truly knew that they had complete control over everybody. Which is an illusion, by the way. Because they don't. Or be like Chicken Little, the sky's falling one too many times. People are just going to ignore you. But it goes back to what I stated earlier. I don't know, around October, about the mandates for our military. Why they are pushing it. Now that deadline's coming up for all those people in the service. And it's important because they can weed out the ones in the military that refuse to get vaccinated. They basically get all the ones that are left are the ones they know won't disobey direct order, an unconstitutional order. Which, that's where the scenarios what we see happening in Germany, Austria, Australia could possibly happen here in the US. They get people that will follow every order, even unconstitutional orders. Things can get scary quick. And we've seen them basically field test the field hospitals, places like New York and other places where they bring in the National Guard to set up the field hospitals. And it was, as we've learned, they didn't really use them, but they were there. People knew about them. People seen them. It became a normal sight. Nobody said boo about it. Sometimes you don't even have to implement the threat. You don't even need to implement a suggestion. You just put it up. Let people see it. Leave it stand. And it gets imprinted inside the mind. Okay, that's normal. So when they decide to go around and round things up and use it, and it just gets erected overnight, nobody says, oh, okay, we got the new variant. The infection rates going up again. And then as we learned, you can't trust what they're saying on the actual rates. Because it usually takes a couple months before the CDC comes back around with the actual numbers, which contradict what they were saying. And it's like, then there was plenty of cases where people actually would go in for, like me, upper respiratory infection. They got labeled as COVID. We can argue the semantics of it, but, well, technically, did you go in for a COVID test, a rapid COVID test? So you tested. So it might have been a negative result, but you just went in there and tested, so you become that statistic. They just neglect the part that you tested negative. So yeah, I'm definitely, like I said, I am not making no predictions for next year. Because I don't think it's going to get any better, honestly. I think it's actually going to get far worse. I think with this administration that we have in place, no, we definitely should have our shit in order. Our T's crossed, our I's dotted. But I did see today that I think it was the Austrian president or whatever they have, leader, whatever he is. I think he's president, resigned because of his actions and stuff with the lockdowns. Basically rounding people up. People are tired of it. People are protesting. I mean, out of all the reports I hear coming out of Germany, you'd swear we're living back in World War II. And as strict policies and stuff that Germany has done to better their image, and no, this ain't the Hitler Nazi apparatus. They're sure as hell acting like it, though. With the documentation, show us your paperwork, going into businesses, checking people's paperwork. Then you got Australia rounding up the Aborigines. I mean, it's the world's a scary place right now. What makes it even more scary is the people that we have in power. The fact that most people don't trust the very people that they've elected into power. And nor should you. We never should have to begin with. Ain't a single politician that's ever earned anyone's trust. And the ones that we think are about the right thing, we'll see them take back down. I'm sorry, if you're going to back down because you said something that was actually quite accurate, and issue an apology to a person that's never apologized for anything that she's ever said, I don't got no respect for you. You're not somebody I'd ever vote for. To me, they're spineless. Not somebody I'd follow or listen to. But, we got people out there that are going to continue to vote for a label. Then complain about the state of affairs when the people they vote for keep doing the same thing that they keep doing. It gets to that point where, did you vote for him? Okay, why are you crying? That's why I said, we need to start basing our votes, our choices, on actions. Actions speak louder than words. Have these people took these stances? Have they ever backed down? Have they admitted when they made a mistake? Do they truly support the Constitution and defend it? When they say they're going to do something, do they do it? Do they fight for it? Or do they just say they're going to do this and never even bring it up while they're in office? Are they just snake oil salesmen, con artists, that'll say anything, do anything to get your vote? And we got too many of those people. And don't get me wrong, there'll be some that do that. But when they get in office, they become just like the rest of the swamp. Because, eventually a bunch of bad apples will spoil the bushel. If you don't remove the bad apples. And I think it's funny. We're so quick to condemn and condone our police, men and women, for when their bad apples go bad. But we won't do it to our politicians. And I'm a firm believer that there's more fucking good cops than there is bad. I don't blame blame them on that part. What I do blame them for is not policing their own. They have a due diligence to weed out their corrupt and bad cops. Instead, they treat their fraternity of brotherhood and sisterhood as I will look it all, instead of truly protecting their brothers and fellow brothers and sisters and getting rid of the ones that destroy their image. And like I said, until we see that, they're never going to get the respect that they deserve. They're going to continue to be that easy target. The easy scapegoat. Oh, we're just going to blame them all when. And that's wrong. Just like I stated, yeah, we got a lot of these cops that are been put in situations like Portland, Oregon, wherever these big riots and stuff, where they just back down. They no longer serve and protect. And I know we blame them for so much, but we got to wear some of that blame too. Because we could easily, we see they're outnumbered. Stand side by side with them to defend your cities, your businesses, your property. And we should. Now, there's a lot of things we can do to make change. Respect goes both ways. But we also seen that push in the police departments and the first responders being forced to get vaccinated or lose their jobs. But as the weeks go by, we're seeing more and more cases won in the courts. The 10th District Court just ruled that they can't force medical staff, nurses, doctors to get vaccinated. Big win. But that should tell you something. There's where common sense should kick in. We got all these nurses and doctors refusing the jab. Wait, why are they refusing their jab? They're in that medical field. Well, they know that we don't. Where's your common sense? Oh, I guess, yeah. I kind of forgot. Let me get this a little out the way real quick. Anybody that's watching on YouTube, if you guys have been commenting and you're wondering why I'm ignoring you, because I can't see chat. When I do the daily commutes, I'm pretty much on the Jitsi app from the mines, and I can't see chat. So, but like I said, in my descriptions, if you want to call in, you can call in. If you actually want to join me, there's the link underneath the phone numbers will allow you to join me in the app. But other than that, like I said, I enjoy doing these. I know this week I haven't been the greatest at it, just because I've been worn out. But I do miss that interaction too. But I mean, to be honest with you, even if I could see had access to the YouTube chat, I wouldn't have it up while I'm driving. Especially on these interstates. But like I said, our medical field, we had so many. Nobody talks about that. We got so many that refused. Why? So many of our first responders refused. Why? We need to get back to common sense. That should have been the biggest red flag right there to everyone. When all of our a bunch, more than half of our medical field refuse. And it's not the first time. We've seen them do it with the flu vaccines. And I mean, honestly, at this point, another shutdown or lockdown, shutdown scenario would completely cripple this country. We haven't even become to start overcoming the last one. Which was designed when they started giving all the money handouts and stuff. Dude, I was sick when I found out how much people were making. Just stay at home and not go to work. Really was. I mean, I got to work for that whole time. All but 3 days. I got paid regular 40 hours plus time and a half. For hazard pay. which he basically rounded out about an extra couple $100 in my pocket every week. That's actually what it did break down to for me. It was about $200 more. Then I got people sitting at home on unemployment, making $1,000 a week, making more money than what they were making at their factory and where they worked. And we wonder why people didn't want to go back to work. It was designed. Our government crippled our workforce intentionally. All those stimulus checks that we're going to be paying back for, well, our grandchildren will be paying it back. I mean, I guess, yeah, it was cool. In time of need, yeah, we could have used it. Definitely needed it. But damn, nice hiding spot. That's dirty. Parked in between, right in front of the viaduct. No lights on. Running radar. I honestly did not see him until I was right there up on him. Not that I really care. I mean, I'm not even doing 5 over. Doing about 4. No sense being in a hurry to get anywhere. This never pays. That was the other thing. It really pissed me off about those the lockdowns. The only thing that really affected was all the small business owners, the mom and pop stores, and we lost so many. We lost a few, even some of the bigger franchises, because we watched a bunch of those chains go down, where they ended up shutting a bunch of their stores down. It's It's sad. The one that made the money was the ones that don't deserve to make the money. Walmart, Amazon, your big corporate fucking stores made the money because they were still allowed to be open. Be it your mom and pop stores, your weren't your smaller restaurants and franchises weren't unless they had a drive-through. And if you got smart, started utilizing DoorDash and Uber. But by the time they figured that out, it was kind of too late for a bunch of them. I can't imagine another lockdown, shutdown scenario again. Oh, I can. And after the beta test they went through, don't look for it to be the same. That's when you start looking around, paying attention to realize what's happening in Australia, Germany, Austria, Europe, the use of technology, the use of controlled military. Then the idea of things can get very, very scary very, very fast. And it's definitely something that I would not rule off the table. It's actually something I would tell you personally, my own opinion. I would keep it in the forefront of your mind and not have the mentality, no, that will never happen here. Because it could very well happen here. That's where, kind of understanding some of our laws and things that have transpired since 9/11. Understand that we're still in a federal emergency, national emergency. When you start putting the pieces of the puzzle together and following the little breadcrumbs along the way, you start to understand and be able to visualize how scary things could really get. And that's where it falls on the category of how desperate are they? And do they have enough fear of us not to do it? And desperation will trump that little fear if they have a little. If they have none, we're screwed. And that scenario is very scary. We've been having talks, people talking about it more and more now, throwing the CW word around. It's the wrong terminology. I've always said that. It may start briefly out as a civil war, but it's not. That's why it's so important for them to get complete control over our first responders, the police. If they can't get control of the police, what are they going to do? Well, we've seen what they're do the last couple of years. Defund the police. Every action scrutinized, glorifying the criminals, making them out to be the heroes and the cops the villain. Where it was a bad cop, but you don't that don't get media attention. That don't get Black Lives Matter or Antifa protesting. That gets ignored, and that's the problem. The day people start glorifying a pedophile as a hero, a victim, we got problems. But when all you get is one side of the story, yeah, I can see where you get that conclusion. But when the truth comes out that you guys have been lied to repeatedly, and it's funny how they wouldn't change their narrative while the whole court proceeding was going on, all the truth was coming out in the courtroom. They still stuck to their lies. It took about 2 weeks before they actually nonchalantly, oh, we got it wrong. No, basically covering their paychecks so they didn't get defamation lawsuits. And you can almost guarantee they did it at an hour where they know hardly any of their viewers would be watching. It's never front page when they got to apologize, when they got to admit they got it wrong, where it should be. No, it's a sad fact that our citizen journalists is held to a higher standard than the mainstream media, the ones that are, supposedly the professionals, where the higher standard should be, because the amateur has a chance to get it wrong. They don't have the training. Of course, the truth is, our citizen journalists are more professional than the professionals. The professionals are the actors and amateurs, wannabes. No, I'm not going to be a Tim Pool and call them fucking content creators. I'm sorry. I've been a content creator. Much of us have been. And that's actually work. No, that's giving them too much credit. Your news hour for your mainstream media isn't nothing more than amateur hour. In fact, that's even giving them too much credit too, because I've seen some great amateur content, better than mainstream networks content. So, calling them amateurs is giving them too much credit too. So they're just a bunch of wannabes and actors. Just call them that. Like I said, no predictions for next year. And don't worry, I've got plenty. I'm just keeping them to myself. Those are the things I'd rather not voice and give them any credence or power, which is dangerous in itself. New Year's is going to be the same as I've been doing. Enjoying life, staying on top of things, and being prepared. I've seen the writing on the wall. That's why it's so important to mend fences, repair broken bridges, fix as much of the division that we can personally fix in our own lives and around us within our own circles, and start living more by action than words, and having our affairs together. Because this is a crazy world we live in. It's so unpredictable. It's actually more unpredictable than the damn weather. That we shouldn't be ruling anything out. I don't know. Maybe one of these days I'll sit down with a few people and do a podcast. We'll talk about the scenarios of what we've seen transpire in the just towards the end of this year, what's happening in these other countries, and what could potentially happen here. And do a little think tank. That would be definitely a good one for a group discussion. And that's what people don't understand. Sometimes things can change just because people start talking about it. It throws a monkey wrench into things. But on topics and conversations like that, it's knowing the right time and place to do it. Because otherwise, you're just adding to the fear and propaganda. It's something I don't think a lot of people understand. That we can be a catalyst to their device. When we're thinking, oh, we're doing the right thing by bringing this attention, talking about these things. But we're doing it subconsciously through subliminal and propaganda and psychological warfare on a time that they're choosing. When they choose is the right time for it to be discussed. There's a lot of nuances to the aspects of psychological warfare that most people don't understand, know about, don't realize. You don't realize sometimes you're being played. Sometimes you're the catalyst that's actually adding the fuel to the fire, and you don't even realize it when you're honestly thinking you're doing the right thing by talking about something. I try to be very careful with that, especially when I spot it. That's why it's so important to know thyself. Listen to that your little gut instinct, inner voice, whatever you want to call it. Learn to trust that. And for the most part, that's how I've done this channel. I do podcasts when I feel drawn to do them, not scheduled. Never have a set topic going in. It's just whatever comes to mind I feel drawn to talk about. There's no rhyme or reason other than that's just where I was drawn to talk about. That's why I actually enjoy the more of the ramblings of the chaotic mind or the daily commute because it's just where I can just voice some of the things that's in going running through my head. No set topics, no set anything. Which is nice too because it helps me stay out of the echo chambers. Just like keying in on articles and stuff. It's only the ones that I'm drawn to or catch my attention. It's like, why did that catch my attention? Okay, let me go look at that. That might be worth talking about. Or it might be worth putting back, file, filing away for a later date. I get asked all the time, well, why don't you advertise your channel? Why don't you? I mean, you got decent content, all right content. No, no, because it's not about that. The message. And the message isn't for everyone. It's for those that are will be drawn to it, that'll find it on their own, stumble across it, have not, whatever you want to call it. Everybody's too many people are caught in the numbers game. I gotta have all these followers. I gotta have all. Why? You have a message. Your message is going to be heard by those that have meant to hear it, those that it's for. They will find it. And that gets you away from all the psychological aspects of a popularity contest, because that's what it is. Or, who's got the bigger, what, contest, measuring contest. Numbers don't mean anything unless you give it meaning and importance. And the real truth of it is nothing has meaning until you give it purpose and meaning. People learn that little trick, they'd have a happier life and would find that a lot of the manipulations, the psychological warfare aspects that are used on them every day don't work. See, we give these things power, and we don't realize it half the time. It's like I'm big on hammering labels because labels are dangerous, but they are also powerful when used right and appropriately. If people realize how much control they really have, how much power they have, the world would be a better place, a lot better place. It'd be a lot less brainwashed people walking around. Yeah, I always thought it was funny. Everybody got into the zombie apocalypse thing. Truth is, we're living it. We really are. I mean, we've entered the stage of the haves and have-nots. There's nothing more than a zombie apocalypse. I mean, look, we have the zombies that follow blindly on every word that they're told. They comply. They give anything. The day the society quits completely questioning anything and everything, it's the day society falls and has failed. That's the part. It's we talk about things like this. People, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. Oh, you're a nut. You're a crack. No, because I'm questioning things. No one like. And let's think about it. Nobody likes to be having being questioned, having things they say questioned, their motives questioned. No one likes it. It sucks. But yet it's very important that we do because that's what keeps our minds free, keeps us from getting entrapped in the lies, the illusions, the psychological warfare. It keeps us free from those that wish to control, manipulate, and use you and treat you that as a commodity, not a human being. That's basically treat you as a human being. The concept of that we own you, not you own yourself. Now, that's the importance of our Constitution, the right to have free choice, our freedom. And that's what's at stake. It's always been at stake. Our very freedoms, our very rights and liberties. Why they try to crush it every step and every chance they get, every opportunity that opens a door where they can come in and try to take something away from us. And there will come a point where eventually we just can't stand idly by. Don't know when that point will come. And that's an individual choice. But I have a feeling when that point comes, yes, it'll be individual choices, but it'll be on a grand scale. And that's what they fear, because that's when their illusion of control erodes away and they realize, uh-oh, the deceptions aren't working no more. But the problem with that scenario is what happened. Do we take a small victory and put the blinders back up? Or do we actually say, we've had enough? Your guys' reign of terror, tyranny is done. We're not going to stop. We're not going to let up until we remove every last one of you. In so many cases, we get that small victory. Okay, they learned their lesson. They're not going to do it again. And we end up repeating history later down the road, where history should be the lesson. And we make the changes necessary so it don't repeat. The sad part is eventually it will repeat because that's what happens when you have power. People have authority and power over others. Eventually, the wrong ones will get back into power and slowly repopulate it. And that's been the history of the system throughout history. Starts out as a good thing, works for a while, then the wrong people get in. It may be one of those things that can never really truly be fixed, and it actually can. because that's just the natural cycle of things. You can't have one without the other. It's universal facts. And truly, it's human nature too. Our founding fathers understood this. They understood it so well. They let the Loyalist Party have a part of this new beginning because that's what was right. That's what was needed to where everybody be treated as equals. We argue the semantics of that part at a different date. It took a very long time before we got to that point. Some great civil rights movements, great feminist movements to get to where what a semblance of equality. It's never been truly equality because we still have our social plat or not platforms, but our social standings. Rich, elite, upper class, middle class, upper middle class, lower middle class, poor. We still are subdivided and categorized in those areas. So now there's no equality, true equality. True equality would be everybody is as wealthy as the wealthiest. And that's, one of those things that nobody talks about when they talk about equality. Because, that gets you start delving down that whole proverbial caste system. Where there's that system in place, that hierarchy. And we have it throughout society in every level aspect of our everyday life. You go to work, you have a caste system. You have your foremen, your shift supervisors, your plant managers, your owners, clear down to your lowest worker. It's in our everyday lives. We've never gotten away from it. The concept is, oh, we're going to be able to, we can work to advance ourselves. And that's our mentality. That's the mentality of the caste system. But in reality, the caste system, you never advance yourself. You never become the owner. The system's rigged. It always has been. So when it comes right down to it, equality. No, we're never truly equals. There's never no true equality. And there's many arguments to go around on that. Well, this person has a better skill set. Yes, you're right. That person may have a better skill set to do that, where you have your own skills that that person don't have. It goes back to the old concept of book smart versus not book smart. To somebody that actually does it every day, knows the ins and outs, that can't be taught in a book. That's what it always amazed me. I've actually seen it and watched it. People that can't read or write, we can do a job that somebody went to college for, and that person that went to college for can't do the job because they don't have the hands-on experience. It always amazed me that how the person with the hands-on experience could outwork, outproduce the person that had these years of college and training for. And that's the funny part. We live in a time and age where you can have any skill set you want. You can actually learn it without the college education, without going to school for. You can go on YouTube and find all these videos on how to do something. You watch these videos and you apply it and you start going on the hands-on method through trial and error. And it's amazing that, but people don't really realize what they're doing. So we've kind of gotten away from, the hands-on versus the book smart concept. It's like when people realize all the skill sets I have, it's like I find something interesting that I want to learn, that I'm drawn to, I learn it. I mean, and it goes back to that saying, you can do anything you set your mind to it. And have put a little dedication and time into it, yeah, you can. Just like me, I always strive to learn something. Even places I work, I want to learn everything. I want to be able to know how to do everything in that area that I'm working at, whatever I may be doing. I'm doing at the time. Why? Because hey, that opens doors. It opens opportunities. I was like yesterday morning. Oh no, been today, this morning, before we left, talking, sitting and talking to the head quality guy. That's questions about a couple parts. He's talking about welding. I'm like, well, yeah, well, that's not human welding job. That's automated welding, which is, I'm like, yeah, the days of the human welder are pretty much well done. I'm like, I remember back in the day, oh, that was the job to have. That was the skill set that would get you a job almost anywhere if you knew how to weld. I mean, I remember when I first learned how to weld. Oh my God, I hated it. Stick welding. Give me a Meg any day of the week. And then I learned how to TIG weld, and it's like, man. But I tell you what, I can stick weld with the best of them. But you also realize each of those three things has a specific purpose. And you only get good at it by applying it and doing it. I mean, it took what I learned about stick welding is it requires patience. When I was younger, I did not have patience. Patience was not my virtue, not even a little bit. I think it took took me to about my 30s before I started realizing the true virtue of patience. But when I learned patience, amazing how easy stick welding really was. Yeah, I'd still rather MIG weld or TIG weld, but for certain things, you can't beat the stick welder. But you're going to be only as good at it as you do it. Your dedication to it, how much time and effort you've put into it. And there'll be some things you'll find you're just not good at. It's just not in your skill set. And there's nothing wrong with that. You have that knowledge now. And that's more important than anything. The more you learn, the more you can do, and the more you realize that you can't do. You might not be great at it, but hey, I can somewhat do it. It's just like these podcasts. Am I great at it? No. I enjoy it though. That's the difference. There's far better people that spend put the time and effort. I used to. Then it became to where it wasn't enjoyable because it was more like work, and I wanted it to be enjoyable because I like doing these. Am I the greatest at it? No. There's people out there way better at it than me. Oh yeah. I'm just an amateur at this. But I learned from other people. I seen their mistakes. I learned from their mistakes. Learned from some of my own. To where, yeah, I'm still an amateur, but I'm happy with with what I'm doing. And in the end, that's what makes the real difference. Do you enjoy what you're doing? Honestly, there'd be a lot more I'd love to do with this channel, but I don't have the time. So, I'm happy with what I have. Yeah, I'd like to have a few other people, like-minded people, that have, different opinions and views, be a part of it, but it's not something that's completely necessary. Love to have a co-host. I kind of enjoyed that working with Jaffe over World Pirate Radio podcast, but that's what I learned what a bigger outfit is and how much work it is and the time it's spent, which I'm sure like people like Tim Pool, they understand. I mean, it's stuff that he does, but he's made it his profession. And he's damn good at it. Like Joe Rogan, he's damn good at what he does. It's like I said, this year, coming next year, I'm going to invest a little bit more money into this. Mainly, I'm going to invest a little bit of money on a website and my own little spot to store things. Plus, it gives me a chance to ref- refresh my coding skills. Nothing big, just something. I might just be something simple as just upgrading my WordPress and getting a little bit more control over that. There's a few integrations that I can put a little money invest a little bit, have a more automated system over there, so I don't have to every time I do a video go over there and put the link in to where it could just be automated when I'm live in the actual section. So there's cool things I can do that I would like to do. Because it is nice to have a spot that's your spot. Because it is a lot of work too. When I go live, I can't daily commute. Link shared to wherever every place you're at. I mean, literally, it takes me if I do it and actually do it. I haven't been doing it lately. It takes about I don't know 15 to 20 minutes to get everything set up, links posted where it needs to be for a live stream, so it's on all the platforms that I'm on. But there's some tools that could speed that up that I just recently started playing with when I was helping a few people on something else. We're not going to get into what I was helping them with. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm getting ready to pull into work and I'm going to end up losing it anyway. I kind of rambled on tonight. Hope everybody enjoys their Friday. Have a good weekend. I will probably see you Sunday. You guys have a good night.